Welcome, everyone, to episode 11 of the Golden Squeeze podcast. We are almost at a dozen. We're not quite there yet, but we are here to entertain all four of you with our knowledge of wrestling. And we are going to start off with Monday Night Raw, which kicked off
Let's
with
do
a
it.
tearjerker with Rhea Ripley coming out and saying that she is not medically able to compete, therefore she had to relinquish her title. And I don't know if it's just me, but I did not see that she had gotten hurt. I don't even remember this.
Me either.
She thought that we knew that she got hurt because she made a comment that, well, I know that all of you probably already know this, but, and yes, that was a spot on Ripley impression.
That was awful.
She's not here, Wade. Keep it in your pants. She's not here. It's just me. But she apparently got hurt, and I don't remember this. But it's sad to see her put on the shelf because of the vicious attack from Liv Morgan last week that actually, I guess, injured her. Or maybe she's not injured. I don't know. Maybe they just want to write her off TV. They didn't want her to lose, so they made up an injury so she could go take a little vacation with Buddy Murphy. I do not know the answer to that question, but what do you think? You think she's actually hurt?
I do, and the only way that she's not is if it's somehow a work to further this Liv Morgan thing, but I doubt it. But I don't think it's just to give her time off, because I don't think they would do that with the European tour coming up. I don't see them doing that, and because apparently from what I saw earlier, it looks like Becky Lynch is going to be on the European tour, and it seemed like she was maybe going to be out getting some rest and recuperation for a while, but that does not really seem to be the case, and that she's going to be back sooner rather than later as well. And yeah, big blow if not, but I mean, it's a ready-made feud if she's injured. If she really is injured, they followed up with the pre-Mania stuff with Liv Morgan. The angle was that Rhea hurt Liv to put her out of action. And then now, if this is the case, they're going with Liv being the reason that Rhea's out of action. So if it is legit, assuming that Liv is the one to get the title, in the meantime, it's a ready-made feud when she comes back.
Well, Rhea does not want to see Liv, because I saw 6 grown men have to fight for their lives to hold back Liv Morgan from attacking Ripley further and maybe sidelining her for even longer. So if it takes that many full-grown men to stop her, then whew, Rhea's got her hands full with Liv Morgan. But sad to see her go. There was a brief segment with her embracing the Judgment Day after this and them trying to console her, and Ripley telling Damian to watch out for Dom, make sure that he's taken care of, and he agreed to do that. So it was almost like Priest is his godfather, because Mommy is sidelined and now he needs a new guardian. So now it is Damian Priest. We'll see what happens with that. I wonder if they keep her off TV or they still let her talk or further a storyline. I don't know. But
I mean, if she's doing all that and take care of him, I mean, I don't think she's going to be on TV.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Sad to see her go, but shoulder injuries don't normally take that long to come back from. So hopefully we see her in a month or two. Next was the return of the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus versus Ivar. And, always good to see Sheamus come back. He got a very warm welcome from the crowd. The Montreal crowd was buzzing today, and they welcomed him back with open arms, and I do that as well. I question at the expense of Ivar, but
yes, me too.
They still
good match.
A nice short. It was short, at least for my purposes. It was short. I like a little bit of a longer match, but it was a good match. 2 talented big men that are very nimble. The one thing about Ivar is he weighs a lot, but he moves around that ring like a ballerina. He's very nimble for his size. He's very nimble for any size. I'm not just going to say for his size. For any size, he's very nimble. So the fact that he's able to move like that, it takes a lot of skill. So What'd you think of the match?
It was good. I agree, especially for a guy that we're supposed to believe has a chance of beating Obafemi on NXT. Um, should have gone a little bit longer, and quite frankly, I agree with you. He should not have been put in that situation, considering he's got that high-profile match against Obafemi coming up. He shouldn't have been fed to Sheamus, but I mean, we'll get into more of that later on. But it was a good match. Good to see Sheamus back, and so yeah.
Yeah, always good to see Sheamus back. WWE is better when Sheamus is around. That's just the way that it is. But did you hear Pat McAfee just bashing the Men's Warehouse sponsors? Michael Cole came in his suit, and I thought he looked fine. Pat McAfee did not, and he was plugging Men's Warehouse, and then he said, "I got this suit from Men's Warehouse," and Pat McAfee essentially said, "Oh, I can tell," and asked him how much it cost, and he said a couple $100, and oh, that looks about right. There is no way that he does not get a talking to later on about that, because that is not okay to bash your sponsors. The one thing you can't do is bash a sponsor. They're the ones who put money in Pat McAfee's pocket. So not a good look. Not a good look for old Pat.
Remember years ago when Brock, when UFC was bashing Bud Light, he's like, I think I'm gonna go drink a Coors, and apparently they had that talking to with him because at the post match thing they had all the Bud Light shoved in front of him at the podium. Oh yeah, but yeah, no, I agree, and I did not know that Men's Warehouse was a sponsor, but yes, if that is the case, and then yeah, he will be definitely getting a talking to for sure.
I'm sure that he who shall not be named was probably watching at home and getting real mad, even though he doesn't own the company anymore. But well, can't be doing that. Can't be doing that. Next up was the Tag Team Championship presentation, where the Awesome Truth, the newly crowned Raw Tag Team Champions, came on, and they were given a warm welcome from the Montreal crowd, where they were rained down with "You deserve a chance" to R-Truth, and Truth got emotional. He got emotional, which I understand. He's been in this business a long time. He doesn't hold legitimate gold very often. Obviously, he had his stints as the 24, 7-Eleven, 365 super champion.
Those were awesome stints.
Yeah, but it was good. It was good to see him get his flowers, and Miz too. They're both just great sports entertainers. And the way that R-Truth can move around at his advanced age. He's in his 50s. And
his advanced age.
He's 52. That's old for this company for him to be moving like that. What other 52-year-olds moving even remotely close to that? His childhood hero doesn't even move that well, and he's 6 years younger than him.
Sting.
Okay. No. Not Sting. Not Ric Flair. Not The Undertaker. None of those guys at 52 look like that.
Sting looked pretty darn good.
I'll give you $100 if I could ever see Sting jump up in the air and land on a split. If I ever see Sting do that, I'm pulling $100 out of my pocket and mailing it to you.
I'm talking about just being capable at that age.
I'm talking about being able to move like that man does. He moves like a 25-year-old.
Oh yeah, no, that is true. That is true.
What did you think of the titles?
They're fine, but I'll always be partial to the way the ones from the 90s were shaped, that I associate with Heart Foundation, Demolition, stuff like that, or that era. That era, those titles, those are my personal favorite, but I think they're a 100% improvement from the current ones. I did not like those whatsoever, and I'm glad that they changed them.
What do you mean you did not like those title belts?
Oh no. Do you really have those? Oh no. Oh boy. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Oh wow.
How
Okay.
dare you say that you don't like these titles? Because I'm doing the rest of the podcast with this around my neck.
Oh well, fret not, because if that's the case, my new Don hat will be making an appearance later, so that's okay. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I knew that one would work.
I don't want to go from 4 viewers to 3, so we're gonna make sure that hat does not make another appearance. Pat McAfee was in rare form today when he mentioned how the segment was terrorizing, a callback to Triple H's original name, and probably best that Triple H can't hear Pat McAfee when he's in the ring, because he's made it very clear that he did not like his original name, so I'm sure he would not have liked Pat McAfee's reference to it. But Pat McAfee's been making a lot of references to old names from people from different companies, and he had he had the reference to Prince Puma with Ricochet, and he had another reference later on in the show, which I will mention once we get to that portion. But very interesting.
I liked how Triple H always started laughing at R-Truth's antics.
Well, I think that R-Truth, when he goes up there, in his head, he says, "I'm going to do whatever I can to make whoever I'm in the ring with break," and he does a good job of it. I remember when he made Brock break that one time, and Brock just couldn't hold it in. R-Truth is a national treasure. Protect truth at all costs. But after the presentation, we got a 3-way #1 contender tag match between DIY, the Creed brothers, and the New Day, and it was a good match. But
yes,
one of the things that went on in that match is something that we've been talking about for a few shows now. It is the fact that too many finishing moves are kicked out of, and Tommaso Ciampa did his finisher on Kofi Kingston, Project Ciampa, and he kicked out. There is never an excuse for someone to kick out of a finisher in a multi-man tag match, which is even worse than a triple threat match,
no,
because there's 4 other guys that could have done something to prevent that pin, but they had them kick out, and there's just no excuse for that. No excuse.
I do agree, but I want to clarify something. So, does he have 2 finishers?
Yes.
Okay, so it's Project Chimpa, and is it the Widow's Bell? Is that the other one that starts like the pedigree, but then he brings him up and like does a face plant? Okay, so they're each separate. Okay.
Maybe they're trying to now say that one is a signature move, and if that's the case, then I can get on board.
It's
with what
more
happened.
Acceptable, especially like you said, in a format like that. Yes, I agree. But yeah, if that's one that he, additional research needed. But I agree. If that is a finisher that he has used multiple times to get the 3 count, then yes, there's absolutely no justification.
Viewers, I want you to fact check this. Put it in the comments section if I'm wrong. And
well, speaking of which, I'm going to fact check myself later when we talk about the Don and a reference to real-time mobster era that I made. That needs context, but we'll get to that later if you're still tuning in.
Oh, trust me, they won't be. But next up was Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile versus Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, furthering a storyline between Hartwell and LeRae, who got the win in this match.
To Hartwell finally caving in and using heel tactics to get the win, and she did so while LeRae was out of it for the most part. But then afterwards, after their hands were raised and they got the victory, or when they got the victory, I think they skated out of the ring rather quickly. But Hartwell was very happy with the fact that they won, and honor be damned. And so I think they'll be a cohesive unit now going forward. And hey, I'll eat this crow sandwich too. I thought for sure that eventually one was going to turn on the other, leading to a singles match. But apparently they want to make as many cohesive tag teams for the women's division as possible, which, hey, kudos to them. And yeah, they're both good wrestlers, and so we'll see where that goes. So, but yeah, I was surprised with the direction it went, but hey, at least they're going somewhere with it. And like now, that's like, okay, they're a cohesive team. Let's move on from these past few weeks of tension and be done with it.
See, I never thought that because I try to never think about chemistry.
Oh
Right?
boy,
So
here we
on
go.
to the next match, it was
Yeah.
Andrade versus Dom Dom in a match that was Andrade is it's like a beaten drum when you talk about talent in the WWE roster, because there's talent up and down the board. I mean, everybody's talented. You don't get to WWE if you're not talented. But Andrade just kind of stands above the rest, and Dominic's also done a very good job of improving his in-ring ability. He's 100 times better than he was when he first came in, when he was 21, 22 years old, and just kind of got thrown into a match, and everybody was concerned whether or not he would have it. But we always got to remember his dad is Rey Mysterio. It's like,
you mean Eddie Guerrero?
Yeah, he grew up with the. Oh, I gotta check that paternity on a poll. But he grew up around the most talented. His father was friends, like his best friends were Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, guys like Chris Jericho, guys like that. He knows this business, and every single time he opens his mouth, you can tell that he knows this business, and people know that he knows this business. But it was a good match. It was a good match. I think the post match was more important than the actual match itself, with Ricochet and the beatdown that then brought Ricochet down to the ring to assist Andrade. And it's sort of a situation where I think that you think that Ricochet is going to be the next member of the Judgment Day.
I think something's going to happen there, I think. And but somebody, I think, is going to be excommunicated, and I think, and who knows, I'm probably wrong again, but I still think he's going to join them at some point.
Maybe so. Get rid of JD McDonough. He doesn't need to be in there anymore.
I don't think that's happening.
So who do you think is going to go?
Well, we'll get to that later. I think. Yeah. We'll touch more on that later. But I think I know who it's going to be.
And I think I know why you want to move on, because you want to get to Caden Carter and Katana Chance versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, which it's always good to see the women getting airtime. And Chelsea Green, she can be the butt of a lot of jokes, but she's awesome. She's a talented performer. She's again the definition of a sports entertainer, and she knows her role, and she plays it very well. So that is good on her. But Piper Niven, she reminds me kind of like an Ivar, and that she's a bigger woman, which is fine. Because she moves well. She moves well for her size, and she's super talented. She's super talented, and she is important because she shows young girls that might have aspirations of joining the WWE that when you and I were growing up, if you didn't look a certain way, you were not going to be successful. If you didn't look like Trish Stratus or Sable or someone like that, even Lita. I mean, if you don't look like that, or Stacy Keibler or Tori Wilson or Deborah McMichaels. If you don't look like that, you weren't going to go far. And
Are you implying that women were objectified?
a little bit. When you were more likely to get a bra and panties match than you were a straight one-on-one, yeah, I think so. So it's good just to see her get some screen time because she is super talented. And like I was saying, she does bring a different look that would not have existed in the 90s or early 2000s.
I'm glad to see they're doing so with NXT, which are about to have the women's North American title. They need a women's mid-card title for Raw and SmackDown.
The women's Intercontinental title, so they can have one more title to ignore.
Or or because especially if they're going to do these longer term reigns, they can't only have one women's title per show, because it's going to be just no suspense about, okay, if it's some of these PLEs or whatnot, or a major taping like that, it's going to never be in question if you know there's only the one title holder.
Yeah.
And but I say that because I love Chelsea Green. I do. I think they complement each other well with their tag team. But I think Piper could have a good, if again, and I know I say this all the time, if booked properly with her size and skill set, could have a good singles run, like a proper singles run. None of that dude drop and just. But again, it's not with the title scene, what it is right now and everything. I don't see that happening, and I'm actually shocked that NXT is having this this additional championship for the singles championship for the women before SmackDown or Raw.
Yeah. You're not wrong about that, and I do agree that they do need some sort of mid card. Give everyone else something to do. Just
Yes.
give them some. Just give them something to do, and let them have a match that actually has stakes, and you can create storylines around the mid card title. The problem is though, you're not going to have two mid card belts, so you got to decide if it's going to be on Raw, if it's going to be on SmackDown. Probably better being on Raw since that's a 3-hour show.
But you could.
What do the men have two?
Yes.
I guess the U.S.
Yeah.
So we're going to just add in two titles.
They have, but that's the problem they have. They've got so much good talent that, and I think it would justify it.
Well, they got to do it right, because what's the last title?
I agree.
What's the last title that they added? The women's tag team titles. I think that we can both agree they've not handled the women's tag team titles the best. So,
correct. I think the right team has the titles currently.
And where's that team? They show up on like NXT, whatever. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing with the Kabuki Warriors.
I know, and don't get me wrong. It's a shame that those women are in a tag team. Yeah, they should be.
They shouldn't have to be.
No, none of
those
them.
Are singles wrestlers.
Yes, but none of them should. And then, but that's another thing. If they lose the titles and get broken up, and then because you're gonna have to give Dakota Kai a push at some point. She's too good.
Yeah,
and there's just not. But when there's only one women's singles belt per show, they're gonna have to do something eventually. Yeah. They're gonna have to do it quick.
Yeah,
but. Anyways, but no, all that ccame from talking about the Piper. But I think I think she, and this is no disrespect to Chelsea Green. I love Chelsea Green, but I just think Nevin could be running through competition in a mid-card title run if booked properly.
I'd love to see her fight Naya. That would just be
Yes.
a hoss
Yes.
matchup that you don't ever
Yes.
see in a women's division anywhere. So that would be fun to watch.
No, that would be great.
Yeah, but moving on to the next segment, Cody addresses the WWE universe. I don't want to say this, but it's only been 10 days. I'm already over Cody. I don't. He's coming out and giving the same promo every week. I need to get him back in the ring because he's not saying anything new at this point.
The way he ended the promo, I think that is writing him off of Raw.
Okay.
With the dad joke until we yeet again, making it seem like it was going to be for a while, and then also
Blue brand.
Yeah, and then also he addressed, hey, if Roman's not there, who's making the calls for the bloodline, and bringing up, I don't think The Rock has one more match. I think he has many more. But the fact that he brought up the whole bloodline feud tells me that is where he's going. And the fact he made that comment to Jay, I think that was his way of The Rock's got to go away for a little while moment, and he's leaving.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the Golden Squeeze's newest TikTok and Instagram post, but it actually is referencing.
Yes, I did.
Till we eat again.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
there was a very clunky backstage interview from Jay before that started.
I didn't see it. There's a good chunk of Raw that I missed. So
yeah, so he gave a clunky. It just didn't seem invested in his interview, but I'm not going to bash him. It's fine. He was just tripping over his words a little bit, which happens. But one of the comments that he made, and I wrote it down.
It won't be the worst of the week, and we'll get to that soon.
Yeah. Jay was asked about Tama Tonga coming on screen, and he said something along the lines of, they got members over there we don't even know about. Referencing the bloodline, the other side of the bloodline was Solo, saying they got members over there that we don't even know about. And I don't even know if he was supposed to say that, because he said it in such a way where he botched over his words, and it was real quick. But he was essentially, in my opinion, insinuating that Jacob Fatu's coming.
I mean, everybody knows that, though.
Yeah, but
I think
he
when
shouldn't
he said,
be saying it.
Well, no. I mean, when I hear that, I think it could be interpreted as who made that call or the beatdown. If it wasn't Solo, if it wasn't Tama, maybe that I take that as that's what he's referring to. Okay, somebody, because if it's not Roman and it's not the two who carried out the order, who gave the order? Who's that puppet master for that? It's it's a member that has not been revealed yet, is the way that I take that.
Okay. All right. Maybe.
But no, if that wasn't the case, then I could see it both ways. But I take that line as the who done it or who's doing it kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That's just my bullet without seeing it and without seeing that segment at this point. That's just the way that I take that.
Okay. I also feel like Cody coming out kind of diminishes the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think the more that you put Cody on screen on Raw, and yeah, I can see your point now that he was kind of writing himself off Raw, but him being on there even twice in a row, I think was too much. because it made it seem like, hey, I'm the important title. I'm the one who's got the screen time. They're not giving Damian Priest. Those are supposed to be equal titles, but they're clearly not. And
well,
Damian Priest gets zero screen time, zero opportunity to.
Oh, he was out there. Stop it.
Zero. Fine.
Yeah.
1.
He was out there.
Cody's 100. Damian's 1. It just seems like they're doing everything they can to try to diminish the Damian's title, in my humble opinion.
Well, I mean, okay, let's face it. There's no denying Cody is the most popular wrestler on the roster.
I'm denying that. You can't deny it. I'm denying it.
Okay, well, of the ones currently there, and yeah, an argument could be made for Roman, but and the fact that it was a show out of the mainland, 50 United States, and then Canada, I think they saw that as a good opportunity for the Canadian fans just to see him and get some screen time, and again his farewell to Raw. But he could come out next week, cut the same promo, and we'll be talking about this again.
Yeah, and the fans will boo him, turn on him, and then he will no longer be beloved. That's what's going to happen.
But and that we've talked about that, and overexposure can be a big killer. But when you back yourself into a corner from a storytelling standpoint, and always harp on, I'm out here every week because Roman's not, and like making it a big problem that you're not on TV every week. Well, especially at the beginning of your reign, you have to put your money where your mouth is, and especially if they're wanting to have that continuity. But I mean, we'll see. And again, I think the Yeet dad joke kind of was writing him off for Raw, but if he comes back next week, I'm gonna have to be like, okay, But then I'm saying that now, but when they're doing this European stint, I have a hard time believing he won't be on both the major shows there as well. But I mean, but we'll see. But I mean, that's usually all your big cards are put on the table for that tour, at least historically, I think. So
yeah.
So I mean, I could even maybe give that a pass, but we'll see. I guess time will tell how they handle it, but they better not blow this, man. They worked too hard to build it up, and we shall see. Oh, and, okay, when Jey Uso came out after Cody called him out, McAfee said, "I just yeeted myself."
Oh yes, that was funny. Pat McAfee was in rare form. I'm normally not the biggest Pat McAfee guy, only because of how much profanity he uses, and I don't like that for my kids. But he was in rare form today.
I like it for myself.
Yeah. Well, I love it for me. I love it for me. When I watch it by myself, he's great. But when I watch it with my kids, not the best. But after Cody's segment, it led into Jey Uso versus Finn Balor in a one-on-one match. And one thing unrelated to the match, at some point in time, Finn did the coup de grace. And Michael Cole called it the coup de grace. And I don't know how he could make that mistake, or I've been saying it wrong this entire time.
I know I've heard it called that a lot. I call it the coup de grace.
It is the coup de grace. It's a saying. It's a word. It's a French word.
Yeah.
I don't know what the coup de grace is. That's not a thing. You don't pronounce the S in that. And I don't know why Michael Cole would, unless he knows something that we do not. maybe, well, he knows a lot that we don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and say he's just saying it wrong. But I'm not going to harp on that too much. Michael Cole is a staple in this industry who has been around for almost as long as I've been watching wrestling. Well, not that long, but he's been around for a long time. He's been around more than he hasn't. I'll just put it that way. But these two battled in a match that ultimately resulted in a post-match beatdown that anyone could have seen from a mile away. And the beatdown resulted in some assistance to help. This is the second multi-man beatdown, both involving the Judgment Day on the card. But what did you think of all the match and all the shenanigans that happened after the match?
No, good match. I'm a huge Finn Balor fan. I just don't like that they keep feeding him to people like a stepping. I don't like it, and
he's criminally misused.
Yes, but I don't know what this is going to lead to. And Jey Uso won clean. Well, I mean, he's the babyface, so I don't think there were any distractions to Finn. I think he just beat him with a splash. I know
Uso splash.
He got the Uso splash in the win, and then when Priest was standing face to face with him and held up the title, and then the beatdown happened. The look on Priest's face was almost like he didn't want the beatdown to happen, at least initially the way he looked, but then I couldn't tell by the end of it. But that's why I'm saying I don't know if they're all not on the same page and if he's going to be the one excommunicated.
Could be. The last leader of the Judgment, or the original leader of the Judgment Day, Edge, is the one that got excommunicated, so it'd only be fitting for the new leader to get excommunicated. So I wouldn't put it past them to do that. I don't know whether or not Rhea's injury is going to delay or change their plan for how the Judgment Day ultimately disbands. Only time will tell.
Did we talk about earlier who won that number one contenders match for the tag teams? I know we talked about kicking out of the finisher, but did we establish that DIY did win that match?
You know what? I don't know if we did. So let's circle back to that.
Okay. DIY won. So that'll be, I think it's going to be a very good match. And it's interesting because they have been seeming to get along backstage, and, R-Truth with calling them Shawn Michaels and Triple H and all that. And, but either way, it'll be a very good wrestling match. And as soon as that match, I think we could see if they were just giving Truth. I'd say Truth and Miz, but Miz has had main event wins at WrestleMania. And, or I say wins. I know he had a main event win, and I know
win against The Rock. I'm sorry,
Cena.
Cena
when Rock came in and helped, but still, same thing. It was the last match at WrestleMania, and regardless of if the focus was Rock coming in, Miz still got the pin at the main event of a WrestleMania. And so we'll see if that was just to give Truth that moment and they're just transitional champions, or if this is going to be a longer term thing, because I don't see them going, especially under Triple H. I don't see DIY going too terribly long without getting a run with those titles.
Yeah.
I don't see it. But yeah, it could be very interesting though to see how quick they do that, and if they do it sooner rather than later, I'm thinking that was purely just to give Truth that moment, that well-deserved moment. And just kind of the way they did with Breaker and Corbin, let both of them get a W at that NXT big event, just for them to drop the titles on a NXT show a couple days later, but just to say, hey, we're gonna give y'all that moment. And so, but yeah, I really don't think we actually talked about who won and what's next. So I'm trying to think. I think that covers it for Raw, doesn't it?
No, we forgot the main event.
Oh,
we still have the main event.
The hometown or home country hero. Holy
the
cow.
reason why the crowd was so jazzed up.
Yes.
For Sami Zayn.
I apologize. Holy cow.
So before we get into that, though, was it Cody or was it? Yeah. So no, it was Jay that came back. Who greeted Sammy in the back before he came out? Was it Jay or was it Cody? I think it was Jay after the match. Well, anyways, we go backstage and you see Sami Zayn back there looking up, just taking it all in. These new camera angles that they're doing, where they're following people out to the ring, are awesome. I love them.
Yes, I do too.
I think that they are a great addition, which I don't think that Vince would have ever allowed, because it's backstage stuff. He didn't like people seeing that. He loosened up on that towards the end, so I'm not going to say maybe he wouldn't have. They did a lot more, the 24/7s WrestleMania. So but anyways, I love those camera angles, and when Sammy came out and you got to see him, start from the back, come all the way up front, and just follow him there, and just taking it all in, and then the crowd just going nuts for him. I love that. I love that. I love that idea, and I hope that they continue to do that. I don't think you want to overuse that camera angle, but at the right moments.
Yes, I agree, because it's gonna get old quick.
Yeah, it will. It will. But for right now, I'm still enjoying it. But I had said earlier that there was one more reference that Pat McAfee had made. It was during this match where, let me get my notes. He said, so in the match, obviously Chad Gable versus Sami Zayn. And at some point in time in the match, Sami Zayn goes for the cheap pop by going for the sharpshooter going for Bret Hart's move in Montreal on Chad Gable. And Pat McAfee says, well, there's nothing generico about that. And I lost it when he said that. I thought that was hilarious. For our 4 viewers who may not know, Sami Zayn's name before he came to WWE was El Generico. So him saying there's nothing generico about that was funny. That was funny. And another reference to a person's original name. So now he's done Prince Puma, Terrorizing, El Generico. The list will go on, and only a matter of time before the Undertaker comes out and he calls him Mean Mark. So, so we'll see what goes with that. But we have a match, and Chad Gable, again, I'll say it, I'm a broken record. He's talented too. He's so talented, and he's got that amateur background in wrestling, Olympian, and he brings that to the ring so well. So he's a great wrestler. But he finally snapped. And
after he lost clean.
It would have been nicer for him to have snapped before he lost clean, to try to protect him just a little. We don't have to let everyone lose clean, especially guys who are trying to gain momentum. But, Sammy helped him up, tried to have a little embrace, walked off, and then all of a sudden the camera pans to Chad Gable putting him in a German suplex, and
it was while Sammy was talking to his wife, wasn't it?
yeah,
Oh, that was awesome.
it was good. It was good because you thought he was going to snap or turn, and then he didn't. And then he went to go talk to his wife, and you thought the show's about to end. And they're doing a much better job with their timing of certain things. With, it's like 10:59, and you don't know if they're gonna have one more thing or just end the show.
Dun dun dun.
And then they have that one more thing, and I like it when they do that. Ultimately, Sammy turned heel. I'm sorry.
No,
Chad
he didn't.
Chad turned, and now we'll see where it goes with this. I'm sure he's going to be bitter for all that training that he put in on Sammy
as Vince Russo said, the 1 week of training.
Yeah, 1 week of training that he devoted to Sami Zayn. But how'd you think of the end to Monday Night Raw?
Oh, I thought it was great, and
you must not thought it was that great. You forgot it existed. But go on.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah. No, great ending. We all knew the title wasn't changing hands, so there was absolutely no suspense whatsoever. I don't care that a lot of the fans wanted if it wasn't going to be Brock versus Gunther, wanted it to be Gable dethroning Gunther, but that aside, everybody knew Sammy was winning that match, so zero suspense. Absolutely not a shred of suspense. It was just a matter of hoping. Is he going to turn?
I was so hoping that Chad won, because I would have loved to hear how mad you would have been for Sammy to have dethroned Gunther and then lose his title within 2 weeks. That would have made my day to see you that angry.
I would have. I don't think we would have been able to pod tonight had that happened. Or for the next month, and our 4 viewers would have been even more devastated than I was when Gunther lost.
Where's my favorite podcast? Sorry, Mom. We couldn't get it out this week because Wade was angry.
Wade threw a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it is. I'm just wondering if they're finally at some point going to let him get a run.
He'll get a run. He'll get his run with the Intercontinental title. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but he'll get his run eventually. I think he's earned it. I think he's been a good soldier. He's been entertaining this whole time. I mean, Alpha Academy. I think he's still with Alpha Academy. But he did a good job with them. He's doing a good job as best he can, trying to further this storyline with Sammy and Gunther. I mean, he's a good worker. I'd like for him to get a run as a heel, preferably, in my opinion. So I think that now's the time for him to get his title. He's a much better heel than he is a babyface, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see what they do with Chad Gable. They're going to do something, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as his former tag team partner is back there writing some of these scripts and producing things with Jason Jordan, then I'm sure that Jason's going to make sure that he gets top billing some of these times. So,
some friend he is. He hasn't had a title yet.
Yeah, enemies. How dare Kurt Angle's son treat Chad Gable like this? All right, well, that is going to wrap up this podcast for today. We will do next. We will do NXT. Let's try that again. I will edit that out. I just called it next. That's going to wrap up the podcast for today. We will be doing NXT and SmackDown over the weekend. Glad that everyone tuned in for episode 11 of the Golden Squeeze podcast. If you like what you heard, go ahead and hit that bell icon, like and subscribe, and we will see you later on the Golden Squeeze podcast.